again, it's not really so much of a news topic, but the preview embargo has lifted for the Switch version of Super Mario RPG. And John, again, you've been playing it. And
Yes.
you're allowed basically to say anything you like about it based on the
Up to a
preview
certain
restrictions.
point. Yep. So yeah, I will do a video on this because I kind of wanted to do some direct comparisons with the original game, which it's one of those games that I don't think has aged very well visually, the original, because they went for that 3D rendered isometric view. You know, obviously this was Donkey Kong Country era, but those sort of CG rendered sprites drop down into that lower color depth. They don't look great, I think, anymore. But Mario RPG is a very nice little game from Square and Nintendo, and it's really cool that they brought it back. And I think they've done an awesome job with capturing the intended aesthetic, almost like what you would expect from a render of the render, but in real time in 3D. And it really holds up well. It's genuinely a great looking game. And it actually starts off with an unexpected sort of twist that I'm not used to seeing. It's almost like goes back to the PlayStation 2 days. The FMV sequence that the game opens with, all the FMV in fact, is encoded at 60 frames per second. Wow. So I don't feel like that's very common at all to have all the FMV sequences play out at 60 FPS, which it's cool. It looks neat. It's really nice. The game itself also targets 60 frames per second, but I use the word targets because, and I need to go through the frame rate analysis tools for this one, but it has issues, shall we say, in spots. Some of the larger maps exhibit some very strange, stuttery behavior that looks really bad, and I don't understand what's going on with that. Like, I'd say like 90% of the time it's completely smooth, 60 FPS, but when it decides to dip, it does not look good, shall we say.
That's interesting.
And it feels like they're having an issue with how they're handling like the swap chain or something along the way. It's a Unity game, by the way, which sometimes we see frame time persistence issues with Unity games on consoles. And this kind of behaves a little bit like that as well. Okay. I actually still don't know entirely who developed it. I haven't seen the credits yet, so I'm actually curious about that as well. But that is basically its major issue, is just the performance gets weird in spots, and it's worse in docked mode, I would say. It's just odd that the game opens with that external view of Bowser's castle, and it's very choppy. And then you get inside and it's fine, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? So it was generally weird to me when the game opens, and after that 60 FPS FMV, the first thing you see is like a choppy 3D section. Okay. It's strange, but then you get into the castle and it's fine, and it's mostly fine.
Well, maybe there'll be a title update, but I think one thing that people should understand is that when Nintendo seeds code with reviewers, and we have this sort of two-stage embargo, preview and review, 99 times out of 100, it's the same code in each time. It's very rare that we actually get an update between the two cycles, right?
Except for Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda was one of the exceptions to that, which was kind of game-changing at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that did improve performance for sure. So it's entirely possible that performance will be fixed by the time it actually comes out. I don't know for sure. Even then, though, like I said, it's largely not an issue. It's just very specific scenes that operate this way. And by and large, everything else does run smoothly. And it looks fantastic. It's a beautiful game. And they've even had a nice touch of you can play with the original soundtrack, or it defaults to this, a new fully arranged soundtrack, which sounds great as well. So it's shaping up to be overall a solid product, I would say. And if you've not played Mario RPG, this is a good time to get into it, I would say. It's very different than Paper Mario and, all that. Everything that followed, you can tell this was from a different era. It has a different feel. It's much more Squaresoft of the 90s, if you will, with that Nintendo flavor, as opposed to being like the modern sort of Paper Mario stuff. So,
okay. Well, we look forward to that. I mean, that's on your docket of things to do over the next few weeks, isn't it?
Indeed.
Good stuff.